Beg your pardon. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar and wishing all our viewers in India and across the world a very happy Holi. Coming up in the next hour. Pentagon says Iranian warship has been sunk off Sri Lanka. 80 dead, 30 rescued. US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says Israel and the US Air Force to have complete control of the Iranian skies under a week. India ensures safe return of citizens amid Gulf tensions. The Ministry of External Affairs sets up a control room. The Raisina dialogue to spotlight assertion, accommodation and advancement. Prime Minister Modi and the Finland President Stubb to inaugurate the event on Thursday. And Nepal heads to a general election on Thursday. The promise of reform by political parties tops the agenda. Iran's campaign against neighboring countries in West Asia continued for the fifth consecutive day on Wednesday. The United Arab Emirates and Qatar intercepted multiple waves of drone and missile barrages. In a press conference, US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth stated that within a week, the US and Israel will have complete control of the Iranian skies. Let's look at this report.
US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said US and Israel air forces will have complete control of Iranian skies in under a week.
Starting last night and to be completed in a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders.
Meanwhile, Israel's military said it launched a broad wave of strikes on targets in Iran after the Islamic Republic fired rounds of missile barrages at Israeli territory. In the past 24 hours, hundreds of fighter jets and aircraft have been striking hundreds of targets simultaneously in Iran and Lebanon. Israel's army said it had shot down a manned fighter jet in Iran with an F-35 fighter jet.
A short while ago, Adir fighter jet shot down an Iranian fighter jet over Iran's sky, over Tehran's sky. This is the world's first shoot-down of a manned fighter jet by F-35 fighter jet.
Israel also hit the covert Minzadehi compound that was used by a group of nuclear scientists who operated to develop a key component for nuclear weapons. Iran continued its campaign against neighboring countries in West Asia for a fifth consecutive day, with the United Arab Emirates and Qatar reporting that they intercepted waves of missiles and drones launched as part of the barrage. The UAE's Ministry of Defense said that its air defense successfully engaged on Wednesday with three ballistic missiles and detected 129 drones, of which 121 drones were intercepted while 8 fell on state territory. While Qatar military said they intercepted cruise missiles drones from Iran, the International Atomic Energy Agency said that there was no indication that Israeli and US strikes on Iran had hit any nuclear facilities. On the other hand, Russia accused the United States of using an imaginary threat from Iran as a pretext to overthrow its constitutional order.
Нет никаких сомнений, что мнимая
There is no doubt that the so called Iranian threat, which has been repeatedly described for many years, was merely a pretext for carrying out a long planned scheme to forcibly overthrow the constitutional, I stress, government of a sovereign state deemed undesirable by Washington and Tel Aviv, a state that is, I repeat, a member of the United Nations. And the renewed negotiation process served as a cover operation.
процесс стал операцией прикрытия.
Speculation also raised on the next supreme leader of Iran. Reports suggest son of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Mujtaba Khamenei could be the successor to his father. The ongoing conflict in West Asia has also significantly disrupted flight operations, with airlines grappling with uncertainty surrounding airspace closures. Qatar Airways, Emirates, and Etihad have all announced that their operations remain suspended due to safety concerns. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
Meanwhile, a control room has been set up in the Ministry of External Affairs in view of the current situation in West Asia and the Gulf region. The control room can be contacted from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 1-800-11 8797 and some New Delhi numbers 2301-2133, 2301-4104, 2301-7905 with 91 and 11 as the codes. Indian nationals continue to return home from the conflict-affected Gulf region following the sudden escalation of tensions, and many passengers have arrived at the Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi on Wednesday as well, expressing relief at reaching home safely and acknowledging the support provided by authorities, airlines such as Emirates and the Indian Embassy as well. A separate flight from Dubai has landed at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport as well, and passengers praised the government's efforts in providing assistance, including free hotel stays and timely updates for affected passengers. And for more on developments in West Asia, we are joined by Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar, former senior diplomat. He'll analyze this day 5 for us. Ambassador Sajanhar, how effective, have U.S. and Israeli strikes been in degrading Iran's military infrastructure and also Iran's retaliatory capacity? What does it reveal about its position and resilience? Sir, we can't hear you. Perhaps you're on mute. Yeah.
Not really?
Oh, go ahead. I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the show. As far as the degradation of the Iranian capacity and capability, I think they have been severely degraded, but maybe not to the extent that Israel and the United States might have expected. And in that context, while as far as the air defense systems and command and control over the airspace in Iran continues to be very limited or non-existent, but it still has the possibility of using its large stockpiles of missiles and unlimited stocks of drones, the Shahed 126 drones,
Yes.
that it has been using to very good effect, and it has been using them against Israel, it has been using them against the countries in West Asia. And then on top of all that, it has decided to block off the Strait of Hormuz, which has created unimaginable problems and issues
Yes.
for countries of West Asia and, of course, of many other countries importing and consumers of energy from this region.
Ambassador Sajanhar, also, there are reports that there could be potential radioactive leaks from Isfahan or, even any other site. How will this impact the lives of civilians, and what impact will it have on the war itself?
Yeah, so two questions here. One is, as far as the lives of civilians is concerned, that has been hugely affected, adversely affected, meaning even without, if you're not even considering the, the nuclear fallout, if there are any attacks on Isfahan, Natanz, Fordo, etc. If we don't take cognizance of that, but still, meaning the sort of bombing that has been taking place, and not only in Tehran, not only in Qom, Tabriz, Isfahan, etc., but all the major cities. More than 100 major cities of Iran have been pummeled by huge barrage of missiles and bombs from the United States and Israel. So, as far as the ordinary life of people in Iran is concerned, that has been very severely and very adversely affected. As far as the nuclear radiation from Isfahan and the other nuclear enrichment sites that were thought that is concerned, IAEA has come up, the International Atomic Energy Agency has come up with a report saying that there is no evidence of any nuclear radiation, that there has been any emission of that. So I think that is, a saving grace. That is satisfying that nothing of that sort has happened. And countries should really take care that that eventuality does not arise.
Take place at all, indeed. But, what impact will Mujtaba Khamenei being appointed or potentially being appointed as the new supreme leader have on the whole strategy that Iran has?
Yeah, meaning if America and Israel had thought that by decapitating the top leadership, because in one fell swoop, they were able to take care of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and also a large number of the senior officers, senior functionaries, senior commanders and generals, whether it is of the IRGC, it is of the intelligence or the defense minister, etc. If they had thought that that is going to have an impact so that the whole structure, the government structure is going to come tumbling down, that has not happened. So I think that must have been a source of disappointment as far as America and Israel are concerned. And if they had thought that, possibly they would be able to get in a more moderate person in the place of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, then that also has not happened, because the reports seem to indicate that Mujtaba Khamenei, who is still considerably young at 56, he is more of an extreme and more radicalized than even his father was.
Okay.
And he has been able to come to this position because, mind you, he is not in the top echelons of the clerical supremacy as far as Iran is concerned. He is at number 2 or number 3, what is known as Hujjatul Islam. He is not Ayatollah. So, there was that opposition to him being nominated for the top position. But it is the IRGC and the army, which means he has a huge control and he has a huge support as far as the IRGC is concerned. So it does not portend well for those who are striking against the regime in Iran.
So what are the implications of Iranian drone and missile attacks on Gulf states?
They have been very lethal, as you can see. They have been very lethal. It's not only the US military assets that they have been hitting out at, but they have been hitting out at commercial centers, at residential places, at airports, at commercial complexes, and big buildings. So I think the normal life, the general life of the people there has been disturbed, and I think it has come as a big surprise to these people, because they had thought that this eventuality will never arise, that Iran will start firing. They could understand Iran had announced that if it is attacked by US and Israel, then it is definitely going to go after the US military assets in the region. And there are considerable US military assets there, whether it is in Qatar, or it is in Kuwait, or it is in Bahrain, or the United Arab Emirates, or the Saudi Arabia. But in addition to that, what Iran has been doing is that it has been going after all these commercial places and even the private residential complexes, even the refinery, Ras Tanura refinery in Saudi Arabia, and also
Right.
hitting out at the pipelines. Now that has created a lot of problem, and all these countries are very perturbed, and that has created a big fissure between Iran and these Gulf countries. What Iran might have thought is that if it attacks these countries, then they will be helpful in pressurizing Israel and the United States at stopping the conflict and stopping the barrage of missiles and bombs that are being thrown at them. But I think it has come out to be a strategic blunder on their part, because this has, the relations between Iran and many of these countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, that had been improving over the last several months. But now we see that they have seen a huge decline in and a sense of distrust and
True.
the friendly relations.
If we look at the bigger picture, Ambassador Sajanar, I mean, there is the EU, Russia, and China. How are they positioning themselves in response? I mean, after all, they are seen as global powers that can be involved in some sort of, in calming the waters in a sense.
Yeah, as far as China and Russia are concerned, both of them have been very critical of the American position, of the American stance, and the action that has been taken by America and Israel. And today there was a telephonic conversation between the foreign minister of China and the foreign minister of Iran. And basically what China had said is because it receives the huge quantities of its energy, of its oil from West Asian countries. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed, through which about 20% of global energy outflows take place. And Iran, over the last 47 years, although there have been a number of conflicts in this period, but it never took the decision to choke off, to block the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
But this time it has done. So I think, one can really make out what is the seriousness of this issue as far as Iran is concerned. It considers this to be an existential threat. So after the telephonic conversation between Wang Yi and Foreign Minister Arakchi, so they have agreed that the Chinese tankers will be allowed to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and no other shipping will be allowed. Although President Trump
says that the U.S. Navy will be, escorting ships in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, but that appears very unlikely because, they will be hit by these missiles, and how will they be able to control the missiles? So, it might be, as a political statement, it might be all right. But I think the impact on the ground is not going to be, it's not going to be very realistic to be able to provide defense to them. So you have more than 150 tankers and ships which are lying in the Persian Gulf, just waiting there. They don't want to take any chance. And in fact, the international marine insurance companies have also stopped providing this. As far as, very quickly, Russia, I think it has just criticized the US action and also in the UN Security Council. As far as European Union,
we know that Spain has not let the US use its
yes, I think that is the only outlier there, but otherwise the three major countries, because even the base of the United Kingdom in Cyprus, that was also hit, that was also shot by Iran. So whether it is the United Kingdom or France or Germany, and Chancellor Merz has been in the United States and met Mr. Trump just now. So all three of them have agreed, and even NATO has agreed to come in because Turkey has been hit by Iran, and Turkey being a NATO member. So the provisions will also come into action.
We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ashok Sajanar. Thank you for giving us a broader view of what's happening in West Asia.
Thank you.
Now, the United Arab Emirates is ramping up efforts to bring citizens and residents from Saudi Arabia as escalating conflict between the United States, Israel and Iran disrupts travel across the Gulf. Etihad Rail is operating exceptional passenger train services to facilitate the return of UAE citizens and residents from Saudi Arabia. Around 350 passengers have already returned from Saudi Arabia. The escalating violence has forced widespread flight cancellations, leaving thousands of travelers stranded. The Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez on Wednesday doubled down on his opposition to the attack on Iran by the US and Israel, warning that the conflict risked playing Russian roulette with the lives of millions.
With the fate of millions of people, the powers involved in this conflict must immediately cease hostilities and commit to dialogue and diplomacy. And the rest of us must act consistently, defending now the same values that we defend when we talk about Ukraine, Gaza, Venezuela, or Greenland. Because the question is not whether or not we are in favor of the Ayatollahs. No one is. Certainly not the Spanish people, and of course not the Spanish government either. The question, rather, is whether or not we are on the same side of international law and therefore of peace.
Y por tanto, de la paz.
Well, the European Union has pledged support for Spain after President Donald Trump threatened to cut off all trade with the country over its refusal to allow the US to use its bases to attack Iran. In an ex-post, the President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, said, I'm quoting him now, I have just held a call with President Pedro Sanchez to express the EU's full solidarity with Spain. The EU will always ensure that the interests of its member states are fully protected. We reaffirm our firm commitment to the principles of international law and rules-based order everywhere in the world. Meanwhile, the European Union's industry chief, Stéphane Séjourné, said on Wednesday that the US's threats to cut trade with Spain are threats made to the whole bloc.
I want to be very clear. In commercial matters, any commercial threat directed at a member state is by definition a threat against the European Union. It falls under the competence of the European Union.
Earlier, the US president threatened to impose a full US trade embargo on Spain after the European and NATO ally refused to let the US military use its bases for missions linked to strikes on Iran.
Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they would have agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Well, Britain needs to keep a cool head over the conflict in the Middle East to address public concerns about escalation. This is Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying so on Wednesday.
Make clear this is obviously an extremely serious situation, and I know the whole country is worried about the potential for escalation. They're worried about the impact on their lives, particularly when they see what's happening with energy. The family and friends of those who are caught in the region will be worried sick about them. And of course, we've got civilians and military personnel at risk in the region. We need to act, therefore, with clarity, with purpose, and with a cool head.
Two Greek frigates, the Kimon and Prasar, arrived in Cyprus on Wednesday. The deployment comes after drones struck the British Royal Air Force base in Akrotiri on the island days earlier, prompting a regional defense military response from European allies. Both frigates were seen off the port of southern city of Limassol near the British air base. The Prasar is equipped with a Centaurus anti-drone jamming system used previously against Houthi attacks off Yemen, and Greece has also sent 4 F-16 fighter jets to the island. The Cypriot officials said that France is also sending anti-missile and anti-drone systems, as well as a frigate. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said an American submarine torpedoed and sank an Iranian warship in international waters near Sri Lanka on Wednesday. The vessel, identified as IRS Dinner. Yes, we'll listen to the soundbite first.
In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
Well, the vessel was identified as IRIS Dana and it reportedly went down in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka's Deputy Foreign Minister said that at least 80 people were killed in the attack on the frigate IRIS Dana, which was heading back to Iran from an eastern Indian port. And Sri Lanka said that it had launched a search and rescue operation to locate survivors after receiving a distress call. And 32 people were actually rescued by its navy and treated at a hospital in the southern port of Galle. Sri Lankan Navy spokesperson, commander said boats had reached the location, observed only an oil slick there. And he added that the incident took place outside of Sri Lankan waters, but Colombo was still committed to providing support.
When we were carrying out search and rescue work, we were able to rescue a group of people who were in the sea. By talking to them, it became clear that they were from an Iranian ship and needed urgent medical attention. As of this time, we have been able to recover a few dead bodies. We suspect that the bodies are workers from this ship.
Well, Nepal is set to vote on the 5th of March in a high-stakes election. The election comes months after mass protests reshaped the country's political landscape and brought in an interim government. With nearly 19 million eligible voters, including 800,000 first-time voters, the outcome could determine Nepal's direction at a critical crossroads. Siddharth Bharadwaj has the report.
I'm standing here in Kathmandu, where Nepal is gearing up for crucial elections on 5th of March. After months of political turmoil and historic leadership changes, the voters are preparing to decide the country's next chapter.
Come March 5, Nepal will go to the polls. These elections mark the first national vote since violent protests rocked the Himalayan Republic in September 2025. The significance of these polls remains high, as they will decide the future direction of the country. In fact, the youth are expected to play a pivotal role in determining who will lead the nation at a major political crossroads. On September 8, Nepal witnessed widespread protests across the country. It all began after the government imposed a ban on social media sites, citing that tech companies had failed to meet the deadline to register under new guidelines. The ban angered the country's youth, who took to the streets. However, the protests later evolved into an anti-corruption movement, ultimately resulting in the toppling of the KP Sharma Oli government. On September 12, 2025, Nepal saw history in the making when former Chief Justice Sushila Karki was sworn in as interim Prime Minister, becoming the first woman to hold the top post. According to official data, nearly 19 million Nepalis are eligible to vote, including 800,000 first-time voters. The country is divided into 7 provinces: Kosi Province, Madhesh Province, Bagmati Province, Gandaki Province, Lumbini Province, Karnali Province, and Sudur Paschim Province. Key political parties contesting the election include the RSP, Congress, UML, NCP, RPP, PSPN, Janamat, and UNP, along with several other smaller parties. The main contenders are a mix of veteran leaders and fresh faces, from former Prime Minister and leader of the Communist Party UML KP Sharma Oli to Nepali Congress leader Gagan Thapa and 35-year-old Balendra Shah, one of the most talked about figures in this election. A former rapper and civil engineer, Shah rose to prominence as a popular mayor of Kathmandu. With a mixed electoral system in the country, voters will elect 275 members of parliament through a combination of first-past-the-post voting and proportional representation. The key issues driving the vote are corruption, jobs in the economy, foreign relations, climate concerns, and local governance.
The people of Nepal are looking forward to voting in the upcoming elections with great hope. The country's next government will determine much about its future, including its political direction, foreign policy, especially in relation to its neighbors. With camera person Vishwabandhu, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Kathmandu, Nepal.
As Nepal heads to the polls in a crucial Thursday election, voters hope for a stronger and steadier leadership. DD India correspondent Siddharth Bharadwaj is on the ground in Nepal, speaking to people about their expectations. Let's listen.
Nepal is all set for the crucial elections on March 5th. Well, some people are saying that these elections will be dominated by youth and they will play a crucial role in these elections. Some people say that the old parties still have a dominance in these elections. Let's hear it, what people of Nepal are saying.
अभी ये पुराना दल नया दल अभी चुनाव में आगे बढ़ गया है, कल चुनाव होने वाला है, लेकिन अब कौन बाजी मारता है ये तो अब चुनाव के बाद ही पता चलेगा। हम लोग तो अनुमान करते हैं जो भी आए लेकिन अच्छा सरकार बने, देश और राष्ट्रीय नागरिक के लिए हित के लिए काम करें, वो सरकार बने, हम आम नागरिक का यही इच्छा आकांक्षा है।
अब हमारा जो नया सरकार होगा इससे अब पहले कुछ परिवर्तन नहीं हुआ था, तो अब मैं चाहती हूँ कि अब ये जो लोग है ना रोजगार करने के लिए अब देश विदेश जाते हैं, अब बहुत उधर बहुत दुख होता है। सो जो अब नए सरकार होंगे मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि अब सबको रोजगार मिलना चाहिए, इसलिए कोई बाहर जाना नहीं चाहिए। जो करना चाहते हैं उसे नेपाल में अच्छी तरीके से अब रोजगार मिल जाए, वही कहना चाहती हूँ मैं।
While the results of these elections will only decide who will emerge as a winner, but the people of Nepal have clearly stated that they expect a lot from the upcoming government, including good governance, more opportunities for youth. With camera person Vishwabandhu, this is Siddharth Bharadwaj reporting for DD India in Kathmandu, Nepal.
The Election Commission of Nepal held a press meet on Wednesday and they stated that all preparations for the elections to the House of Representatives scheduled for tomorrow are complete. The Chief Election Commissioner Ram Prasad Bhandari confirmed that all preparations for conducting these elections are over, with the Commission's commitment to conduct free, fair elections, transparent and credible elections. The Raisina Dialogue, India's premier conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, will be beginning on Thursday. And in fact, this event will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with Finland's President Alexander Stubb. It's organized by the Observer Research Foundation in partnership with the Ministry of External Affairs. It's a three-day event and it brings together global leaders, policymakers, academics, industry experts and journalists as well. Prominent speakers include the Minister of External Affairs, S. Jaishankar, and the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau. The theme for this year's Raisina Dialogue is Samskara, assertion, accommodation and advancement. A civilizational tool, Samskara is a statement of continuity. The President of Finland, Dr. Alexander Stubb, arrived in India on a 4-day visit. Upon his arrival, the President of Finland was given a grand honor. He was welcomed with a guard of honor. President Stubb will be the chief guest and the keynote speaker at the 11th Raisina Dialogue 2026 in New Delhi. This will be the first visit of the Finland President Stubb to India in his present capacity. During this visit, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Alexander Stubb, they'll hold discussions on strengthening bilateral cooperation as well across a wide range of subjects. And they will also exchange perspectives on regional and global issues of mutual interest, including cooperation in multilateral fora. President Stubb is also going to meet President Draupadi Murmu. The Vice President, C.P. Radhakrishnan, and the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, will call on him. India and Finland share warm, friendly and multifaceted relations rooted in shared democratic values. Finland is a valued partner for India in the European Union and the Nordic region. In fact, India has warmly welcomed the Minister for Foreign Affairs and External Trade of Bhutan, Linpo Dn Dyangyel, who arrived in India on Wednesday to participate in the 11th Raisina Dialogue in New Delhi. India and Bhutan, their partnership is founded on deep mutual trust, enduring friendship and goodwill. And this visit is expected to further strengthen bilateral cooperation and to impart renewed momentum to the close and long-standing ties between the two countries. India also extended a warm welcome to Malta's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs and Tourism, Ian Borg. Upon his arrival in New Delhi, he is also participating in the 11th Raisina Dialogue. In a post on X, India's Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal said India and Malta share friendly and cordial relations anchored in strong people-to-people ties. And Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar joins us once again, and he'll help us understand the Raisina Dialogue as well. Ambassador Sajanhar, will this dialogue's agenda be impacted by the war in Iran and its implications?
No, absolutely. Thank you very much once again, Mark. Absolutely. I think that's going to be one of the most important issues of discussion. You know, when you were mentioning about what is the theme of the topic this year, theme of the dialogue, the conference this year, it is samskara. So it is, civilizational values and continuity. And in that context, definitely, this is the Russia, Ukraine, the
Iran, US,
Israel and Iran conflict definitely is going to be an issue of discussion. But Russia, Ukraine will also be a part of it because 4 years have elapsed and now discussions on, how to put an end to it, they have also gained speed.
Also, Ambassador Sajanhar, how will the dialogue deal with the issues of sovereignty, strategic interests in the Indo-Pacific, especially with the US-China rivalry and, shifting alliances? And of course, this is India playing a big role in this region.
Yeah, as far as the Raisina dialogue is concerned, if we have a look at its evolution over the last 11 years, because, it was launched in 2016, just after Prime Minister Modi assumed the office of the Prime Minister, it was started. And today it is the, starting tomorrow is going to be the 11th edition of the dialogue. So it is basically a platform to discuss the most urgent global issues and of course an exchange of views. And it doesn't really, it's not a platform that you come out with accepted or agreed statements or consensus statements. It is basically for different countries to see what the others are thinking. Definitely it's a platform for India to share its own thought, its own philosophy as far as its own foreign policy is concerned, whether it is on the issue of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam or it is on the aspects of, Vishwamitra being friendly to all countries. So I think it's a platform that gives an opportunity to, for instance, here there will be about 3,500 participants from about 125 countries. And as you said right at the beginning, there are going to be, of course, ministers, there are going to be deputy prime ministers, more than 20, 30 foreign ministers are going to be there, also from think tanks, climate experts, intelligence chiefs, defense personnel. So all of them are going to be here, and over 2.5 days, they are going to have a very keen, serious, in-depth discussion to have a better understanding so that the outstanding challenges to the world, they can be resolved through peace, through dialogue, through diplomacy, and not through conflict.
Indeed, and one of those big challenges is also trade protectionism, and also the impact of technology on governance. Then there's climate. These are the other issues. To what extent, are these large issues in the background, or will they be in the foreground?
No, absolutely. They'll be very much in the foreground. Meaning the expands the scope of the Raisina dialogue has grown very significantly over the last 10, 11 years. For instance, if I could, give you this numbers, the first edition of the dialogue in 2016, there were just about 35 countries. As I said, today there are going to be 125 countries. And even in terms of number of participants in 2016, I understand there were just about 125 participants, foreign participants, and those from within the country. And for this edition, there are going to be 3,500. So there is going to be a huge range of ideas, thoughts, views, voices, and all of them who are coming from different areas. They will be able to share their own views on all these aspects, whether it is counter-terrorism, whether it is climate, whether it's technology, whether it's 5G, so all the 6G. So all these aspects
AI.
are definitely going to be discussed in great detail.
Indeed, and innovation and AI will also be among them. But what do you mean, to what extent will India be able to use this dialogue to reinforce its image as a bridge between, let's say, the developed and the developing world? After all, India is the voice of the global south for some considerable period of time now.
No, absolutely. India is the voice of the global south, but it has excellent relations also, as your viewers know, with all countries. And that's what I mentioned about our philosophy of Vishwamitra, that being friendly to everyone, and a policy of multi-alignment and strategic autonomy. So definitely India does get a chance and opportunity, and that is why it is India that sets the agenda as far as this dialogue is concerned. And that was the whole idea right from the beginning, because what I understand is that when Prime Minister Modi first came to power, he said, why do my officers always keep going out to participate in other dialogues that are being in the West or other countries that are being organized by them? Why don't we have an international brand, international, global platform that we provide to other countries, that they come and they discuss issues that are of interest to us, that are relevant to us. And we don't go there discussing issues that are basically relevant either to those countries or to those groups of countries. And that is how we started with the Raisina dialogue. And I think today it is definitely, it is issues which are of concern to us in our own region, but also then India's interests have become global. As you mentioned, Mark, as far as climate change is concerned, as far as IT, as far as AI is concerned, innovation is concerned. So all these aspects are important, and they will be discussed, they will be part of the agenda.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ashok Sajanar. Thank you for putting that into context for us. We're going to take a short break here on DD India News Hour. When we come back, we'll look at Holi celebrations across India and the world.
Open your mind to a whole new world. Explore mystic wonders of nature in the forests. स्वागत आहे to magnetic Maharashtra.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lin. Millions of people celebrated Holi, the festival of colors, in India and around the world on Wednesday. Holi, the festival of colors, was celebrated in India and across different states and regions with great enthusiasm and joy. In northern India's Ladakh, Indian soldiers celebrated Holi high up in the mountains at 14,300 feet, spreading color and joy. They were joined by local people who came out to celebrate the festival together. And Holi was also celebrated in Chandigarh with traditional zeal. People smeared gulal on each other, splashed water balloons and also exchanged sweets to mark the occasion. The festival was also celebrated with great enthusiasm by tourists and locals in Sanjoli in Himachal Pradesh, Shimla district. People filled the streets enjoying music and colors. Holi was celebrated with joy and devotion. In Uttar Pradesh is Mathura. Devotees and locals flooded the streets, throwing color and singing traditional songs, keeping the festive spirit alive. In Madhya Pradesh's Ujjain, Holi was celebrated by the religious organization Panchayati Akhada Bhara Udasin. Devotees gathered in large numbers to take part in the rituals and festivities, blending spirituality with celebration. Moving east, people across West Bengal smeared each other with gulal and sprayed colors as they celebrated Holi, with festivities continuing a day after Dol Jatra. In Odisha's Bhubaneswar, people celebrated Holi with full enthusiasm and joy. Children and adults alike participated in the festivities, turning neighborhoods into colorful spaces of celebration. Heading south in Telangana, Holi was celebrated with great enthusiasm in Hyderabad's Begum Bazaar as streets came alive with vibrant colors. Crowds also joined in the festivities, throwing color and enjoying the lively atmosphere. In Karnataka's Kalaburgi, in fact, people danced and celebrated Holi with color and with music. The festive spirit was visible across the city, and the communities there came together to mark the occasion. And thousands of kilometers away from home, the colors of India came alive in Wellington in New Zealand as the Indian diaspora gathered to celebrate Holika Dahan and a colorful Holi celebration.
Sacred flames and vibrant colors, the spirit of India travels across oceans to light up Wellington. Let's take a look at the Holi celebrations right in the heart of New Zealand. With every splash of color, families, friends and cultures come together to celebrate joy and the triumph of good over evil. These playful streaks of gulal and warm embraces definitely brought Indian diaspora closer to home and to traditions. Let's hear what this festival means to them.
It is an absolutely miserable day today, but regardless, we are having so much fun here in the wind, and all the colors are all blowing everywhere, which means that all of our past sins are being blown away. So we're very pleased about the day, the colors, the people have come out to enjoy. And I think it really brings out the true spirit of the community, that they really believe that Holi is all about the people, the year that has gone past, and making sure that the year ahead is prosperous.
We are in New Zealand. First of all, happy Holi to everybody. Well, this festival is for color and happiness. And here we gather together, everyone, all the caste, all the people, lot of color, and we celebrate proper Holi here, and we don't feel like we are not in India. We feel like we are in India, but we creating lot of relation here, and we praying. This is the Holi for me.
The spirit is really high, and the way we do Holi is really amazing. We do the Holika Dhan as well. We play with the colors. Today it's really windy. It's kind of rainy, but we don't care. We are still out here playing. I got my friends from all different countries. I have friends from Britain, my friends from America. We're all playing together, and we're introducing them to the Indian culture. So I think that's the special thing about doing Holi in Wellington is we don't care, rain or shine, we will still celebrate.
With these colors flying all around, India's timeless traditions continue to glow everywhere. This is Soumya Sharma from Wellington for DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for the sports news. And India have a bid to become the first team to successfully defend a T20 World Cup title. They are squaring off with England in the second semi-final in Mumbai on Thursday. It's the third T20 World Cup semi-final in a row between the two teams, and each time the winners have gone on to lift the trophy. And with the final berth at stake, the high-pressure knockout game promises to be nail-biting and engrossing. And Gaurav Kumar has the details. The stage is set for a blockbuster showdown at the T20 World Cup as defending champions India take on England in the second semi-final in Mumbai. It is the third successive T20 World Cup semi-final clash between them, and each time the winners went on to lift the trophy. England had hammered India on the way to the title in 2022 before the latter got their revenge in 2024. In this edition, both teams have a similar campaign so far, losing one match. But India's top order has struggled, with opener Abhishek Sharma managing only 80 runs in 6 matches with 3 ducks. Sanju Samson's unbeaten 97 against the West Indies was a welcome boost, however, and India boasts explosive firepower in the middle order with Surya Kumar Yadav, Tilak Verma, Hardik Pandya and Shivam Dube. There are fewer concerns over the hosts' bowling unit, led by spinner Varun Chakravarti and pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah. While England reached the semi-finals by winning all 3 Super 8 matches, Will Jacks remains their trump card with 191 runs and 7 wickets. However, the failure of Jos Buttler and Phil Salt is a worry. But spinners Adil Rashid, Liam Dawson and Jacks could be dangerous. In bilateral contests, India have an upper hand by winning 17 of 29 matches, while England were victorious in 12. There have been 5 matches between the two teams in the T20 World Cup. India has won 3, England 2. At the Wankhede, both teams have won 1 match each.
So all in all, it's a new chapter for Team India, because whatever happened earlier, that is history. Now they have to create history by beating England. But that is not going to be a very easy task for Men in Blue. With cameraman S. Jayashankar, this is Gaurav Kumar reporting from Mumbai, DD India.
When India face England in the high-octane semi-final clash of the T20 World Cup in Mumbai on Thursday, but India have topped the group stage while England had remained unbeaten in the Super 8. Gaurav Kumar analyzes the strengths and weaknesses. Let's listen.
India and England back again to the Wankhede Stadium. This is the semi-final clash. So first of all, we will talk about India's strength. India's strength is their batting lineup. In first match, Sanju Samson scored 84 runs. Then afterwards, Ishan Kishan, and Shivam Dube and Hardik Pandya. They all are performing. They have shown lot of courage in the death overs. In the last 4 overs, they have scored 57 boundaries. The weakness of this team, Abhishek Sharma, who is not performing up to his mark. He's just scored only 1 half century. So he has to gear up and pull up his socks for this semi-final clash. Coming to the bowling, they are heavily depending on Jasprit Bumrah. From the last 3 matches, their spinner Varun Chakravarti is not performing up to his mark. Though he is leading wicket taker with 12 wickets, and their fielding is also getting poor and poor. They've dropped 13 catches, and in the last match they have dropped 3 catches. If we talk about the English side, their strength is their captain Harry Brook, who has scored a century against Pakistan in spinning condition. Their bowling lineup is also very good. Jofra Archer is there, Adil Rashid is there, Liam Dawson is there. They are creating pressure on the other side. If we talk about the weakness of the English side, not performing by the Jos Buttler and Phil Salt. The second weakness is this stadium of Wankhede. They've lost most important matches. With cameraman S. Jashankar, this is Gaurav Kumar reporting from Mumbai, DD India.
And that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour, and may your lives be filled with bright colors. Namaskar.